The Sumo Tour moved to central Japan this week, with the Yokozuna still not up to much beyond sharing his thoughts at ringside. The theme of this week has undoubtedly been Hoshoryu's feud with Hiradoumi. Witnessed firsthand by this Toyohashi crowd on the Wednesday, and heavily spilling over into Kyoto on the Thursday. Their first set to ended all square, the second decidedly in Hoshoryu's favour, though Hirado had his moments, of course. The wrestlers seemed especially keen to please the Kyoto fans, who created perhaps the best atmosphere I've felt on the tour all year. That event was closed off in rousing fashion by the only two fit Ozeki. Yes, you heard the word fit correctly. For last Sunday saw Onosato begin to skip morning practice sessions, much to fan dismay. And his nose was clearly discharging in this entering ceremony here. A few hours after that, he would withdraw from the tour completely, with an adenovirus infection. He will now rest up at his stable before heading down to Kyushu base camp sometime next week. Perhaps he will be cheered, though, by a Sankei Sports report in which he is named as the favourite wrestler of Takayasu's 2-year-old son. Takayasu's doting wife, enka singer Konomi Mori, is quoted as saying, "My boy is always asking to watch Onosato's bouts." Takayasu reluctantly agrees, but you can see from his face just how crestfallen he is. My son admits that Takayasu fights well in certain bouts, but still likes Onosato bouts more. And asked if that meant her son would take up the sport, she replied, "He seems to be rushing headlong down that path." Takayasu says if he's up for it, then he won't stand in the boy's way. Takayasu, for the record, is also off the current tour, and enjoying some of his mother's well-cooked meals. Meanwhile, Ororo has had his operation on his damaged right eye socket, and is now plotting a path back to the ring in time for November the 10th. Yes, the next tournament is now only 3 weeks away. Ororo sadly had to absent himself from this year's Taiho Cup, which takes the name of his late grandfather in his native Hokkaido. Younger brother Mudoro deputized, with his mother as guest of honour. We've had flurries of recruitment activity in recent days, with Oshiogawa, Otoayama, and the newly formed Hidenoyama stable all announcing new wrestlers. More on that once I get their pictures. But I will say for now that the newer stables are really pitching hard to teenage and university talent in their hunger to boost numbers quickly. Overall wrestler numbers, sadly, remain on the decline, and coaches at all pyramid levels are calling for crisis meetings to finally try and address this. And while most recent talk has been of getting stables onto social media, Nishiiwa seems to be bucking the trend. The wrestlers led by the ex-Onosato will be leaving X and their blogging platform in pursuit, it seems, of a more traditional sumo lifestyle. Their final X post summarized the discussions their wrestlers had held on whether the many positives of social media fan engagement can ever outweigh the hurt of even a few insulting comments. And if any line could really be drawn between providing fans with the updates they crave without constantly feeling pressured to post. Some Nishiiwa men seem relieved at having that pressure lifted. Others were apparently in tears over the loss of an outlet for their sumo stories. It is great that a stable has triggered such a debate, which will only be further complicated by the fact that stables such as Futagoyama, and indeed the Sumo Association itself, earn so much revenue from their social media posts.